Ambulance was directed by Michael Bay and stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and Isa Gonzalez, and is a remake of a Danish film of the same name, although a lot more high octane than this one. This follows the story of two brothers, played by Gyllenhaal and Abdul-Mateen II, and they essentially have to pull off a heist of about $30 million and basically get out of there without anyone ever finding out before rush hour commences and stuff like that in LA. However, the heist goes wrong, they eventually have to get out of there, guns blazing, and they end up hijacking an ambulance which has a nurse in it played by Isa Gonzalez, and essentially lead the police on a merry chase around the city and try and get away from them as much as they can so that they can pull off the heist and get away with the money. About 5 years ago, I did a review for the Baywatch movie, which was with Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron, and I remember saying in that, you know what you're gonna get. If you've ever watched a Baywatch episode, or if you know that brand, you know exactly what this film is going to be like, and you're going to get as advertised. And I remember that movie got a lot of flack, but at the end of the day, if I looked at it from a critical standpoint, yeah, it would get a lot of flack. There were a lot of issues with it, but at the end of the day, it knew what it was, and it was just trying to embrace that. Michael Bay movies for me over the years have taken on that same kind of personality. From a critical standpoint, sure, they can have a lot of issues, but sometimes he makes movies with the idea that they're just supposed to be what they are, and this is one of those movies. It's a film that essentially has this heist sequence. It's very early on in the film, and then you're basically in the ambulance in this big chase sequence for about the rest of the film. And that is about 2 hours of the movie. So basically you're in like one long speed sequence. That's it. And sometimes that's all you need out of a film like this. And credit where it's due, Bay actually does a pretty good job of making this one as compared to some other movies that he's made in the past. This is actually one of his better movies, which is credit where it's due. It's a film that, again, understands exactly what it is, and I would say of his movies recently, it's the one that embraces it the best. It's a film that's big and loud and dumb, and it is unabashedly so. But it is so in a very fun way. I never thought, oh god, this is getting a bit much, I want to walk out of the theater. Personally, I couldn't stop watching it. Before the movie started, I bought a huge tub of popcorn because I haven't had so much popcorn in a movie in the theater since pre-COVID times. Because I knew at some point in time this movie was going to get super entertaining and I wanted to have enough. And I definitely did. I had a great time just munching along to some of the crazy stuff that happens on screen. Eventually it gets crazier and crazier and those explosions come and they are glorious. And I saw this in IMAX, which is honestly the film, this is the kind of movie you should watch on that format because it's just so grand and so over the top. It's actually awesome. Like, again, from a critical standpoint, I can understand why not a lot of people would like this movie because the characterization and in terms of like the storytelling and all that, they're all like single-ply toilet paper. I really mean that's how thin it is. You don't really get much in terms of anything. I would say Isa Gonzalez's character is the most in terms of character development. You understand a little bit about her and there is an arc to her that I thought was quite nice. I think all the leads are great though. I think Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, they're both excellent in the film. They're doing what they can with what they have and they're both having a great time doing it. And I say the same thing for Isa Gonzalez. All three of them are fantastic in this, but their characterizations are, they're not much. You get a little more with this EMT character. That's it. You don't really get much beyond a certain point. And that's okay. That's fine. They give you just enough that they're in this situation. You understand how many of them want to get out, how many of them you don't want them to get out, who deserves to live in this particular scenario. They're dealing with a cop because that's their leverage at this point. Like, hey, we have one of the police officers who's been injured and we're trying to keep him alive. And that's all. They give you just enough to be invested in the chase sequence, and that's it. There's some stuff that comes up later on that I'm sure will be a problem. I actually did think that made it a bit more muddled. Like there are some things about the characters that eventually get revealed and then other connections that become a part of it that I thought, okay, well now it's a bit much. But again, it didn't take away from the main core of it, which is big chase sequence with a bunch of cool shit happening every now and then. And again, Michael Bay just embraces that. Whenever he does a good job of just making a movie exactly what it is, not trying to be anything more. I found that he is a far better director in those circumstances as compared to something where he's trying to tell a much more layered story. Like, I'm not suggesting he can't tell a layered story, but I think it would be best if some directors, it's best when they know exactly what their niche is and they just commit to that bit. It's what makes their movies, some of those efforts at least, the best ones that they could make. And Ambulance is definitely one of Bay's better movies in a very, very long time. He just goes for it and he never holds back. And for that, I kind of respect the film, despite from, like I said, a critical standpoint, it probably being flawed in about 15 different ways. But still, I walked out of Ambulance fairly satisfied with the big dumb spectacle that I got, and I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Just watch it for what it is. Just get a lot of popcorn, get some drinks, have a great time with your buddies. That's it. That's this kind of movie. Try not to look into it a little bit more, try not to think about it too much, and yeah, that's it. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.